June 10th at 7 o'clock, and I hereby call the council meeting for the town of St. Paul. At this time, I'll ask the Madam Secretary to take a roll.
David Dryden.
Here.
Kent Swanner.
Here.
Justin Graham.
Here.
JT Trevino.
Here.
Robert Simmons.
Here.
We do have a quorum. So this time, please stand and pledge allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. At this time, we'll have the citizen comments portion of this meeting. Please keep your comments for 3 minutes if possible. As far as that goes, Bob London.
Yeah, I saw on the agenda that there's gonna be a discussion about our cleanup day. I've talked to no less than 25 families in town, and nobody's happy about the cleanup day being discontinued by council. Originally, it was started by Mayor Steve Hufsteller's son, Steven. It was an Eagle Scout project. And he did it the first year, and it's been going ever since. The current contract the city has with the public services, we pay all the bills through public services as individual residents. The money that we're paying in is supposed to be paying for this free cleanup. The Republic doesn't charge the city any money for it. But the citizens, we're paying for that service in our quarterly bills that we pay them. So I feel like I'm being shortchanged a little bit because the bill I'm paying is supposed to be included in that service. But it's always been well publicized. It's always been well attended. I talked to the mayor when he was campaigning. He knocked on almost every door in the city. He didn't find anybody that liked the idea that cleanup day being discontinued. The issue of liability was brought up. I don't know of anybody ever being hurt while we were out here working. I've worked 25 or 30 of these events, and nobody's ever been hurt in that. The whole liability issue is kind of like a Chicken Little story saying the sky is falling. We're afraid of something that's never happened. It probably never will. The other thing we're missing is our hazardous waste disposal, because getting rid of paint, solvents, chemicals, batteries, tires, these pile up in people's shops, and we don't have any way to get rid of them. This event gave us an outlet and a way to dispose of that stuff, and it's not real hard to do if the current council, the current staff is unable or unwilling to pull the event off. Call me, I'll volunteer to be the coordinator. I'll set the whole thing up. I can call the public, call the tire recycle, call the hazardous waste people, and I'll coordinate the whole thing myself on a volunteer basis. But it's criminal that we're not doing this anymore. That's my comment.
Thank you.
So that is why I asked to have the first agenda and the regular agenda added to talk about debris haul off for citizens, and something we can do for that. So we'll talk about it later, I suppose. But and to my understanding, I wasn't here for that meeting, but I understand we do have some kind of service that's going to be provided sometime during the year. I'm not sure when, where you can leave extra amount of material in front of your house with the bulk pickup. It's not quite the same, but yeah, we can talk about it further in the agenda item.
Mark Masher.
I also want to piggyback off that. I was there at the last cleanup, helped all day. I'm here to volunteer for it again if y'all want to pick it back up. And also 3.1, I recently moved onto that street Friday when I got off work a little early, heading out of town. I saw the
We
email.
gotta go to 3.1, we're not yet.
I'm sorry.
I said, we're not on public hearing yet, this is just citizen comments.
You can make
I can
a
talk
comment.
about it.
Comment about what's on the agenda.
Okay. 3 minutes.
Sorry, continue, please.
As I was leaving to head out of town the other day, I saw the line of cars for probably about the second time. And it was pretty bad. One vehicle each way. I think I don't want to get rid of the church, but I do want to put in a parking arrangement for them where maybe they have a timeline to be able to handle this situation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I feel like Neil.
You did? I don't think I have that.
You wanna go get it?
Did you not turn it in?
I was
Did you not
chasing, I
follow
was being
the
chased
rules?
by a spider, man, I was under pressure.
What you get for following instructions?
There we go. Bill King?
Okay, I would like to know if we're gonna continue the agenda the way y'all been running under this format. When I was on city council before, it was 100 years ago, I understand that. But every time an agenda item came up, you said what the agenda item was, council discussed it, brought to the public discussed it, went back to the council discussed it if they need to any further, motions, seconds, votes, and that was it. The way you're doing it right now, we might as well leave after our speech in 3 minutes, because we can't say anything. And just like Mr. Simmons commented about the trash, the deal that we're doing right there, that's a discussion. This is not a discussion. This is me talking for 3 minutes, y'all listening. The only thing you can do is supposedly is state facts, which not everybody, some people jump in there anyway. But the bottom line is that the council needs to hear from the people on each agenda item as it comes up. That's the way meetings are supposed to be ran. Otherwise, there's no use in us being here. And if people are gonna take their time to come up here on Monday night, you need to listen to them, and not just once. If he has a comment, Ms. London has a comment, Mr. Basher has a comment, you got a comment, I got a comment, we get to all sit here, talk it, and discuss it. It's a little town, we got the time. So let's be more non-socialist and let the people talk. And I'm in for your volunteer thing.
Thank you. So I want to talk.
Go right ahead.
I mean, so we, as a council, we can request the people in the audience, if we know that they have something that they want to talk about. And especially if you've already filled out a comment card and it's on the agenda, we can talk, we can have an interaction with you.
It shouldn't be a request from the
No,
council.
well,
It should be
it does.
open to the public.
I understand
Hey,
your-
guys, what do y'all wanna do?
I understand your fervor. The balance of that is, as we do grow, and we have had this room filled in the past few times, we do have to be respectful of everybody's time. So I get it. I think there's a balance.
It's a job.
I'm with you. I really am with you, but we have to balance out being able to be effective in the meetings. And when they last for 3 or 4 hours where we can't get through agenda items, we have to postpone them to the next meeting. That's a problem.
You know what you do at that point in time? I'll tell you, because I know how to work a council. You table it.
That's
Pick
what
it
we
up
end
on
up-
later
That's what we end up having to
discussion.
do with a lot of the things. I don't want to go back and forth too much with you, but we have to balance it between being effective and actually getting work done that's on the agenda and being able to have everybody be able to speak as much as they want.
You can do it.
There's a balance.
I did it. You can do it. And when this town was trying to go wet and George G. owned this little piece of property you guys were on, because he wanted to put a beer store up here, believe me, that little
Yeah.
old town hall that we had down there had as many people, because that room is as big as this one. And they were all in there. And we stayed as long as it took to figure out what the people wanted to do. And it's the job. And it's not that big a deal. And if you've got a lot of people, and it's gonna take a long time, if the discussion is going on for a long time, take it back to the mayor's he's got the power. He says, okay, wait a minute, let's bring this back to the council. Council, we got a lot of problems here. Do I have a motion? And then one of you guys are smart enough to say, yeah, let's table this motion to a later date. You got a second, you table it, you go away. And then, it's like this special, the opening that you're having right here over the church, that's what you do. If you've got a big thing where there's a lot of people involved in it, then that's when you have the hour before the meeting or whatever, that's when you have those special sessions so that everybody can be there. But as a elected official of a government entity, there should never be anybody that says, I ain't got time to hear from people. Because if you don't, I need to know that before the next election comes along. Because I want people that got the time and that want to listen to the people in the city of St. Paul.
I think I said I'm with you, and I think I've also said we've stayed up here for 3.5 hours or more. I'm not against you. You seem to be targeting me now, and that's fine if you want to.
Well, you're the one that
I'm
said you
with
couldn't do it.
And I'm on there. You can call me, you can email me, and I'll talk to you all day long outside of these meetings. But
It needs to be up
there's
here as a
still
discussion.
a balance of being able to be effective in these meetings and get things done, and not to table what did we do? We tabled like 15 different items in one meeting. So, we're not getting effective. Then we have to put it off to another week when we can all get together. And now we're not doing the business of the town, which other people also want us to get things done. So there's a balance. I'm with you though.
It'll
I
work.
really am. We
Didn't
usually
make
stay
it
up here
work.
pretty late.
Didn't make
We
it
usually
work.
stay up here
Positive
pretty late.
attitude, we'll make this work.
I have positive attitude. I have a positive attitude that we stay here very late for these meetings and we take care of what we need to take care of.
Okay.
But I appreciate the comment, I really do, and I am with you on this.
Well, if it stays this way, I'll take my 3 minutes and then I might as well go.
All right.
Because I can read about it a month later when the secretary puts it out, or 3 days when.
Well, we can't
Jessica
have the
puts it
meetings be a
out.
free-for-all where everybody just talks all they want. We can't do that.
It doesn't have to be. There can be a lot of amount of time. But if you have that many people, I mean, there ain't that many people here. If everybody spent 3 minutes, it ain't
That's
that
right.
big a deal.
I think
sorry.
excuse me, I apologize. So, being new here, and I've been here exactly 1 month, and I can tell you that going around talking with the people, I heard every one of you. I talked to a bunch of you in person. So because of that, I've heard that. I take extensive notes. I'm picking up the format as quickly as possible. I'm making changes. The council knows just in the way I run things, even behind the scenes compared to the previous, that things are more open with these guys, which in turn is going to bring it forward to you guys. So I hear what you're saying. I will take that into consideration. I will sit back and discuss it with all of these council members, and if there's a way that we can exactly do what you want without it extending the meetings to a point where it just goes on forever and ever and ever, where we don't get the business done, talking about one issue when we got 4 or 5 on the agenda, then I'm all for it 100%. You are correct in a debate. There is nothing wrong with that. But it takes time, and please bear with me in 1 month's time. It takes more than 4 weeks to change Alaska time to Texas time.
Okay.
And so I'm working on it.
I'll keep the.
I am working on it, and you know I'm working on it.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for your comments. Anyone else? Oh, we got one more, I think. Okay, that's it? I thought there was one more. Okay, gotcha. So at this time, we'll close the citizen comment portion, move on to the public hearing portion of this meeting. Usair, is that correct? Yes, sir. Would you stand and please speak?
Thanks for giving the opportunity. I am representing Islamic Center of Filing, your neighbors at 39950 St. Paul's. We are in the process of requesting special user permit to run as a church. There were a lot of back and forth that we had in terms of parking, in terms of traffic jams, and we shared our proposal through the landlord in terms of how we want to expand the parking at the back side of the area, which LeAnn have all the details and as evidence. So last P&Z meeting when we were here, we explained then what we want to do by expanding additional 50 plus parkings at the back side of the property, so that the traffic congestion that happens on the street can be avoided or reduced. We are not there yet, but we are working towards that proposal. We have submitted our assessments and the plans through the authorized representatives in terms of what we want to do, how we want to do, and how we want to represent it. That's number one. Number two, we have increased our volunteering efforts in terms of educating our guests of how the parking has to be, what do's and don'ts are. Number one, what are the areas that needs to get filled up first in terms of the parking, what are the areas that should be avoided, and if there are kids along with the families, they should be taken care extra cautiously so that they should not run on the streets impacting the driveways and everything. So we are working on that one, and the landlord has submitted the proposal in terms of how he wants to use the back area of the property, which would give us additional 50 plus parking spots once it's approved and the concrete is placed as per the city guidelines. So we are working on that proposal. I understand there's a traffic congestion, but at the same time, through our communication in terms of when the guest comes in, number one, we educate them. We have a WhatsApp group where we are sending out the guidelines every single week, what needs to be done, and if there are any defaulters in terms of somebody parking incorrectly, somebody is, blocking the way. We educate them personally by sending them the pictures of their vehicles, saying that, okay, this is not the way you're supposed to park it, this is not the way you have to drive it. So we are working on that one. So there's a continuous efforts going on, educating our community that it's a brotherly neighborhood. So be a peaceful neighbor to the next door and the traffic on the road. That's one. And second thing, the congestion only happens on Fridays during the afternoon hours, where we have the special parade. So what we did a split where we are running 2 parades now. So technically we used to have around, let's say, 200 guests in the afternoon. So we split them, one at 1:15, the other one at 2:15. So that reduces by half. So this increases us with more parking spots and less of the audiences. And though we have 5 times prayer in a day, but it's only less than 20% of the occupancy for the remaining 4 prayers. Only on Fridays, we have 100% occupancy, so we did a split into 2. If required, we are ready to move it into 3, so that we reduce it furthermore. So this is where we are currently on. So we submitted our proposal, LeAnn advised us to have the representation so that we can put forth our suggestions and the action items. So we know our action items, that we have to increase the parking. Landlord is working with the contractor in terms of how the parking spots has to be increased, how the traffic has to be redirected. We are educating our audiences in terms of how they have to be very disciplined and respect the guidelines of the city and the parking rules. Thanks so much.
All right, thank you, I appreciate that.
I've got some questions on that, so can I respond
Yeah.
now, or? So the 50 spots, like, are those just gonna be in the back? Like, what are the plans for that? Where are the 50
Yes,
spots
so
coming from?
3990 property that we have.
Yeah.
So there is an open land behind it, which is also owned by the landlord. So we work through the contractor, and he did the assessment, and he said like between 50 to 55 spots can be implemented over there.
Okay.
So is it paved or gravel? What's the-
Paved, I believe, is that correct?
I think gravel is not allowed as per city guidelines, so concrete is what we are being told to. So we are working with the bank to, the landlord is working with the bank to get the loan, and once the loan is approved, he will implement that in terms of putting the concrete and have those additional spots.
And then what's the plan for drainage of that parking lot?
So there was a drainage, but not now. I think that will be
Sounds
taken
like-
care as part of those updates.
Yeah, that's, I mean, it sounds like that's what you would have to get with the engineering and all that kind of stuff.
Yes,
You-
so we work with
Right now, you're just
engineering.
doing financing, it sounds like?
Yes, so the landlord said he'll go through the financing route to get the loan approved by the bank, and then he'll implement all the changes necessary about the drainage system, putting the concrete, having the additional spots.
And then what's the timeframe for submitting these plans back to us?
So we have submitted that, I think LeAnn, you are working with the landlord, Nasir. You had some discussions with him, maybe you may have more
It's been a
updates.
few days ago, but we need to catch back up and see where he is with that.
So she's actively working with the landlord in terms of those timelines. So if the city put forth some timelines, then we can work with the city to be as close as possible on getting those implemented.
So a couple of questions, do you think that the 50 spots would be enough to be able to allow for you not to have to use the street for parking as much or at all?
Street parking, sir, may be used, but having those additional 50 spots can give us enough liberty of redirecting our traffic of the audiences behind the back. So that way we know that, okay, we don't have to have, we have like 30 spot or 50 spots back there, and we can educate our audiences saying that, okay, first fill that up, only then you'll be allowed to do that.
Right. And then timeline wise, do you know, because financing is gonna take a while, but there's also other steps that have to be done in engineering and that kind of thing.
So I think LeAnn is more actively working with the landlord, so, but if you say, okay, we may approve SUP, but these are the timelines that you guys have to work with, then we can actively work with the landlord, saying that, okay, we are getting a conditional approval, but let's work towards the end goal of it.
So you haven't been given an ETA by the financial institution?
I haven't spoken on that one with the landlord directly, so I don't wanna give you, but
When did
maybe
that-
I can get back to him and then update LeAnn on that.
When did that process start?
Say again?
When did that process start?
It's been few weeks now. I mean, he's working on it, so he said he'll get the loan approved and he'll implement that plan. So we work with, I think, I'm not getting that term. with a person who is specialized to put up the plan of how many spots can be given. And that plan was submitted back to the secretary through an email in terms of how many more we can have it, along with what the timelines are. And then landlord personally confirmed back to the city that he's working on these timelines and the action items.
So in the P and Z request that y'all made, you were mentioning that you would use the Goodfellas parking area, that shopping center kind of next to you guys. Have you all rethought about that, or are you gonna go fully with the back lot?
Both the properties are owned by the same landlord, and he has given that written approval saying that if you get filled up on 3990, you can use those spots. So we have given the design map in terms of what spots we will be using it. But if 50 spots comes in the backyard, then I think we don't have to use these.
Right, so what happens if Goodfellas or the other restaurant is already taken up?
So we are getting those additional 50 spots, right?
Well, you said what if, so I'm saying, well, cause that
Because
parking pad may not
not
happen.
every area of that restaurant area we are using it, so they're only on the left side.
So what's the restaurant supposed to use?
So restaurants are supposed to use the one in the front.
And then what about the corner, what about the restaurant in the front, what are they supposed to use?
So if that is getting filled up, then we'll use the one that we are building up at the backyard, which is like 50 spots. And again, as I said, we have 5 times a day prayer, but it's only Fridays in the afternoon that has like majority of our audiences coming in.
So on that parking pad spot, have you already made the motions or went through the motions of beginning to replat that? To join it to the additional property or to the existing property of 3990?
Yes, that plan has been submitted by the landlord to the city. So there was a design map that was created in terms of how many spots we will use it. And there was a question from the city like, okay, what if you sell half of the property? Then on that one, the landlord has answered those questions as well to the city. So LeAnn, you have all the
I
evidences in
have the
writing.
information that's been provided up to this point.
Yep.
This is the hearing, so when it gets to council, then y'all will have to look at what we received and then make any additional conditions that's required.
So the questions that were given to us, we answered all of them. Now we are waiting for further directions from the council as to what next has to happen.
Well, if we have questions, if the council has questions, then part of that would be you answer those questions as a representative of 3990.
So
So
we
you
are
click on
attending
that.
every meeting that we are supposed to. We were here in the P&Z meeting last time.
No, I understand, so was I. So if I have questions or additional questions, then
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask those questions.
Absolutely. And again, it's only Friday afternoon where we have majority of the audiences coming in, but rest of the day, rest of the prayers on any given day, it's less than 30% of the occupancy.
At the P and Z meeting, one of your solutions was to park only on one side of the street. Are you adhering to that now?
Yes, as I said, we have volunteers and we are educating our audiences through communication in
Are you
person.
encouraged to park on the north or south side? Which side of the street do you encourage?
The one which is on the property side, on the right. Yes, that is our first priority, not on the left.
I digress, that's not been happening.
It is not happening, I agree, I'm not saying it's not happening, but at the same time, we are educating our audiences very frequently through the communication in the email and the chat, announcements in the building, and personally taking the pictures of who the defaulters are and telling them that this is not the way you're supposed to. Like for instance, you should not block the fire hydrant, you should not park it on the stripes, you should not park it on the special needs if you don't have the tag. So all those educations are happening through personal communications, one-on-one communications, and the announcements.
But no external signs or cones or anything like that?
We went to the property next door on the corner, and the landlord said, okay, I can allow only 2 signs, which we did. One at the letterbox, you can see that no parking, and we mentioned ICW, and the one at his driveway. But he said, I don't want you to put the parking all the way to the back because my lawnmower comes in and he cut the grass. I don't want him to get impacted.
So you're talking about the signage that was placed by, the EMS company, so why?
Not
the fire-
EMS, the one we did. So
So Miss Ryan's driveway?
Mhm,
Is that what you're
That's what I,
talking
that's what I understood.
about? That's what I understood. The little bitty signs?
ICW, yes.
Mhm. So
No
the ones that
parking.
were placed by the
I was-
ambulance from
yeah, I was
Water
under-
Fire
But
Department.
But
the impression that-
no temporary signs during your peak prayer times that you can put out? say don't park on the side of the street or anything like that?
So by law, we really cannot restrict the audiences not to park on the streets, right? Because that's technically allowed by the city and as per the guidelines.
So you're not gonna go the extra effort to try to park on one side?
We are doing it, but if.
You are not?
Yes, it's not happening, I'm not saying that we are not doing it, we are educating, our efforts are happening, but there are times where people are still parking it. Plus, the building we use also has a neighbor next door. So they also have audiences coming in the evening, so at times they also have their people parking on the streets. So it's technically not us, maybe 80% is by us, I'm not denying that, but 20% is by them as well.
Is the, that rear parking space, the proposed parking space, is that already commercial property?
Yes.
Yes, it's planted with, Craig's Pizza Joint.
So our concern would certainly be safety, that's our main concern, and the parking becomes a safety issue, and also, you know, the runoff from any concrete that's poured would be a safety issue for the people downstream from that. So that's our main concern, so if that helps, you know, you and your plight, I think that's something that we need to convey, is that we need to be looking at it from a safety issue. When you have cars on both sides of the street, it becomes harder to get safety, response vehicles down that way. And so that's a big concern. And then also with buses for children, to be able to make it down there, be able to make their turns and be able to get the children on and off. That's from our point of view, you know, hopefully I'm not speaking out of turn here, it's a big part of what we're looking at is the safety for the community.
We understand, we respect the feedback, and as I said, we're working towards that. So once we get the approvals saying that, okay, SUP can be approved, we are putting those spots, but these are the timelines we have to adhere to, so we'll aggressively work with the landlord to get all his finances approved and start implementing those and make sure the parking happens only on one side. And in future, we also have plans to hire the cops to have the traffic control on Fridays where we have the audiences coming in majority, not on the regular times. So that's also the proposal that we are working on. But
So one of the public hearings, you mentioned that some of you guys are gonna be out directing traffic or kind of just making sure people park on one side, but I have not seen that when I've gone by. Is that not happening at all? Is it like the plan?
it
not
is
to-
happening partially, and I understand where you're coming from, I've seen your YouTube videos as well, with all the evidences, so. I know you have concerns, which is valid, we are working towards that, but we are not there yet where we'll say that, okay, yes, it's happening because you have evidences and we know we are not able to, but we have plans to hire the cops on the special days when there are larger audiences. At the same time, we are increasing our volunteering effort to educate our audiences, where we are putting our folks outside and telling them, okay, avoid that area, we are announcing it in every prayer. But it's only Fridays where we have the majority of the audiences, but not on, like if you come at 5:30 in the morning, you might not see that, or come at 2 o'clock, you hardly see 10 cars parked. But if it's Friday, I understand it's more than 50 cars, and that's where the concern is, and we're working towards that. I know you have all the evidences, and we're working towards improving the relationship with the neighbors and the traffic congestion that is happening because of us.
Any other questions?
Are you guys doing anything to address some of the other traffic concerns that are happening down the roadway as far as speeding, running the stop signs, disregarding of any signage? I was looking at a monthly police report, and some of those seems that during the hours that you guys are attending service, or after attending service, that people coming from the ICW are definitely are being addressed by law enforcement.
So occasionally the law enforcement comes in and they park their vehicle on the frontier property, which is next door to us. And but yes, we have seen speeding situations as well, and we have taken the pictures, we have spoken to the owners of the car, educating them, but not the public report, I would say, at this point of time. But I can start looking at it. I have not seen that personally, but I don't know about other members of our group. They could not make it because they are under weather and some challenges. So I can get back to you through an email to LeAnn saying that, okay, what are the plans to look at those reports as well.
Some of our citizens have voiced some concerns with, other than just parking concerns in the area.
We'll look into that, sir.
David, you have a question?
But again, the last conclusion from us is you are seeing active participation from us in these meetings, and we are putting proposals in terms of what we want to do, how we want to do, so that we improve our relationship. So it's a humble request that consider our request, and we are working towards the timelines of what should be implemented that improves the factor where neighbors can say, okay, we love you guys, and we are working towards that.
Any other questions here? I didn't see this one. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I do appreciate that very much. Cam Davis?
So, I understand the request has been put in for the special use permit for $39.90. I submitted at the beginning of February, a couple videos and pictures of, traffic at 1:39 p.m. in the afternoon. Cars doing U-turns, leading, that address. Part of the issue, I believe, doesn't fall just with the ICW. There's an overlap of meetings with other suites in that building. And, like I said, I cannot tell you, where the person is that's driving this car, whether they're going into the ICW or whether they're going into the other suite. My concern would be with the number of cars and the number of people I see walking in the other suite, in addition to the ICW, whether 50 slots or parking spots behind the building will be sufficient to handle the volume of traffic with all the suites. And I would say in the last, certainly since the weather is, improved temperature-wise in between the rain, I have seen, look like Boy Scout children, are dressed in Boy Scout uniforms, playing ball, in the parking lot up there. So I don't know now if there's also, that type of meeting going on. I haven't really, looked at it, but I'm out earlier in the days on Fridays, and like I said, with the combination of suites and traffic total in the building, I question whether 50 will actually handle the entire volume of traffic. And I would not be in favor of approving a special use permit on a promise that those 50 spots will actually materialize. The bottom line is, this has been going on for at least 6 months. And, if they need a special use permit, and the requirement to grant the special use permit is, X number of parking spots for the entire building, then they need to submit, this is the typical number of, people that actually bring cars up there. And I would say, if it's, if there's any doubt, we'll take a survey, right? And, this is the number of cars, this would be the number of slots that you require. So I don't think the special use permit can actually be granted until, the total volume of traffic is known and parking is sufficient based upon the zoning that we have in place.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I add one point to it?
Yes, sir, please.
We understand his concern, which is very valid, but personally, I've seen for the last couple of weeks, the pizza unit is getting the delivery truck exactly at the same time on Fridays when the prayer happens. So that technically blocks one route of the traffic. So if you go in around 2:30 or 3 o'clock or maybe 1:30 or 2, you would start seeing the truck coming in, delivering the pizzas to the unit. So it's not just us which is creating a congestion, it's, hands in gloves with all the neighbors, where they have their deliveries at the same time, plus our special prayers happening at the same time. So maybe we have to work in terms of changing their delivery timeline so that it's not happening, because if you look at the truck, which is very similar to the one Walmart or Target side, the big ones are coming in. So that is also kind of blocking the way in one way, because of which the cars has to go from the sideways and start running out.
So are you saying that, from the pizza joint, the pizzas that are being delivered, it's blocking the roadway, the actual roadway itself?
Yes, he stops the truck over there and he take the stuff out, go in, and then comes back in. And
Could
this
you-
I have seen for the last 8 weeks for sure.
Might I make a suggestion?
Mhm.
Since that would be under the same landlord, maybe have your landlord see if they can't work something out with that pizza joint for that, since it affects you.
Absolutely, yeah, that's the plan, because we don't want them to get impacted at the same time, not us, plus the traffic as well.
And I am aware that that delivery truck used to pull in towards his rear trash dumpster.
Yes.
But because of the timing and parking issues, they've
Exactly.
gotten where they can't get the 18-wheeler out. I know there's been some discussions between the two, your business and another one. And so now I did see that they're now out on Lakeway
Yes,
because they can't get the truck out during your service.
absolutely.
And so that is blocking the entire pathway of Lakeway during that particular delivery time. That's something, as JT mentioned, possibly working out between you and the business with the deliveries with your landlord.
Absolutely,
Because each one pays their rent, of
Oh,
course, and
yes.
everybody has the right to run their business as they see.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah, that's a plan, so we'll run it through the landlord and then you reach out to the business he leased on and see what can be done to avoid that.
Okay.
One more question, you said the service times are 1:15 and 2:15, does that change based on time of year, or is that consistent throughout the
So
year?
when the DST happens and you have the window completely, so it shifts a little bit, but it stays around that time.
Okay,
But we did a split to reduce the congestion. If required, we are okay to make it 3 of them. So that way, let's say if we are getting 100 audiences in 2, maybe with 3, it will become 75 or less in each of them. So that further reduces the cars being parked. But once the SOP approved and we have the concrete plat over there with 50 additional spots, you will see a lot of difference. And at the same time, if required, as I said, we may reach out to the cops to see if they can come over and do the traffic controls for us.
You have not reached out for traffic control up to this
We are
point?
using our volunteers for now,
Okay.
but if things are not improving, where people are not parking, if people are parking where they're not supposed to, then that's the next step we are working on.
Okay.
And it's only Fridays where we have this challenge, but not on the other days. Though we have five prayers a day, but it's only Fridays in the afternoon where we have majority of the audiences. And we submitted all the evidences that we have registered 78 members to 100 members in our WhatsApp group, who majority comes over here and make the special prayers.
thank you. Yep.
Just quick, recommendation and a solution. Recommendation is, council doesn't give any more time to this until you have a detailed drawing, detailed parking places, detailed square footage, fire suppression, water drainage, everything, elevation and everything of the building, because I read through Plano's SUP procedure. They don't look at nothing until those plans are brought to the Planning and Zoning Committee. That's where they start, to make sure they meet all the ordinances. But this has been going, I don't know how long we've been operating without an SUP, but the city council needs to just basically put it down. You got 90 days to come up with these drawings, and we'll do what we need to do. Also found out from the SUP in the city of Plano that you don't have to approve an SUP if the neighbors don't want it there. There's no law that says that you have to approve an SUP. Now, the solution is, if you do allow the SUP, contingent it on no parking on the street. If they park on the street, you lose your SUP. If you don't park on the street, you get your SUP. And then there you go. Because this is the only problem anybody's got, is parking on the street. So if people don't want to park on the street, don't let them park on the street.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Years ago, when these two buildings were built, the town council at that time did not invoke the requirement for a separate dumpster for each building. And currently, both buildings are using a single dumpster. And with the two restaurants putting all their trash in there, it's overwhelmed. And you've probably seen trash outside the dumpster on the ground. You might incorporate into your SUP requirement for an additional dumpster, because that other building, per our ordinance, should have one.
Anyone else? So, any more questions from here?
Just to add on
Oh, I'm sorry.
gentleman's feedback, we already submitted the detailed plan of how the parking has to be, and that has been done by the certified person who's required to draw the plans, the parking spots and everything. And the city has those in writing.
Okay.
Yes, they have them. Thank you.
The only thing to say is, is to be consistent with other SEPs that we've looked at, especially recently, what the gentleman said. I'm sorry, I don't know your name, you didn't
Bill.
state it. Huh?
Bill.
Bill, you have a last name?
King.
Bill Keene. What Bill Keene stated is similar to what we needed. I recommend we need to do for this, because we did require them to come back to us with detailed information about water runoff and about the engineering around their parking lot and around their lighting. And so, for consistency's sake, I think that that's something we should look into.
Do you have any input on that, LeAnn, as to what's been turned in to date?
We've got plans. When I spoke to the property owner, he's in the process of working with the PD for planning.
Rough sketched plans like we've seen in the past, or actual civil engineer
No,
drawn plans?
the rough plans, he's working with the PE to get the actual plans. Last conversation I had with him, our conversation was cut short, gonna have to have another conversation with him. But the SUP process also is also conditional upon, can be upon the conditions that you all put on them to,
But we don't have an ETA on when to expect actual professionally drafted plans. Okay.
And P and Z has not been, so they haven't seen any detailed engineered plans as well today, correct? Okay.
And so the plans have to go through P and Z first.
Before it comes to us.
the planning.
The plating would be the first portion of it.
Okay, so
Yes.
pretty much we're done for tonight then on this issue. Okay.
Pretty much. So, anyone else on this particular subject? So do we have a motion to close the public hearing at this time?
I will make the motion to close the public hearing.
JT makes the motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Okay. Thank y'all, I do appreciate your comments very much. We'll move on with regular business as far as 4.1, which is a regular council meeting, approval of the minutes from the May 13th. 4.1 on your deal, as far as your tabs go, so.
I was working on that Sunday, apologize, didn't get those to you sooner, but I lost power for the entire day Sunday.
I have a question. Look on the minutes for May 13th. The citizen comments, Sarah Beth Graham actually had a few other things that she brought up, not just, what's listed. How do we make sure that it's more thorough?
It's kind of hard to gather nice if, when we get the citizens' comments, they would specifically put what it is that
Well,
it says.
she requested, that we post videos, that the town post videos of meetings. And she also requested, if it's possible, we get copies of the packets ahead of time versus just an edit. So I'm not saying we would do that, but I'm just thinking that was in her request.
I can add that.
I posted from other municipalities for P and Z.
So Tim's was good. I mean, Tim looked at the gym.
We can get to approve that too.
If you can add that, then I would
Okay, that's a.
support,
Just to clear up the clarification part.
please.
Okay.
Things was fine.
Yes. So with that change to the citizen comments, I would make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passed. The next item is just 4.2, special council meeting as of May 20th.
Okay, I'm sorry, you, the first on approval of the minutes, the
Yes,
second
yes.
was
Robert.
Robert.
You ready for a motion?
I'll make the motion that we approve.
That's short.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? You get what? 15 cents, yes, I did. 4.2.
Okay.
Yes. You okay? Okay, next item is 5.1, review the year-to-date budget versus actuals. So this is what we covered today.
Yeah.
I would go, I recommend that we approve 5.1 budget versus actual.
Are we over budget on our consultant fees? Is that what that looks like?
That's for the.
That's for the hiring.
It wasn't
Okay.
originally budgeted.
As well as health insurance?
Health insurance is because
It went up?
it went up and then also was, an open
Opted in.
enrollment, opted in. So,
Okay.
Why are we so high on legal fees?
because we've had a lot of legal issues. And, we thought we could do, we thought last year we could do it under,
90, 60,
thought we could do it under this year. It's going to, it's probably always gonna be upward, probably more like 25.
Do we have detail on those legal issues?
I'm sorry?
Do we have a detail on those legal issues?
No, I mean, not right this second.
Can you include, the detailed attorney billing future?
Yeah. Yeah.
Something with itemized on it, so we can tell what that was about, that might help be able to look back.
Minimize high level?
Yes.
Just have
Doesn't
it.
need to be sanitized, just.
Yeah.
Yeah, just.
I just
words
watched
and
the-
wording.
Do we have to have, we don't have to make a motion for that policy change, right? To people to have more.
I think it's just an administrative thing.
Yeah.
Bring it out. Is that correct?
I would think so.
Yeah.
I get, the only concern that I would have, we're over by that much, and we can continue to go over on these various items.
We're
We may,
way over
we may
budget.
need to we may need to modify the budget for this year.
Yeah, it will need to be, I think, increased
Yeah.
going forward for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think so. We've got $51,000 additional.
Yeah, well, just to, I don't know, you know, I've heard that once you start getting into the major categories, you know, then you have to kind of rebalance just to make sure that it's clear that we're gonna reallocate money to a different category. Not necessarily down to the one level, but at the I think it's a 10 level or something like that. But it's
I
nice,
think
60.
I think I may have misunderstood what you were saying.
Meaning you don't have to true up your budget down to every nitnoid on this page, but when you start to go outside of the bounds on legal fees in general, then you're supposed to, I think you're supposed to true up on that, so that we could find out more details from the auditor, from the CPA that we have. You probably know.
I thought you were talking about us to applying it for the
Yeah.
next year's budget.
No.
You asking Sticky on the interest that's pulling off textbook, right? Which, the only thing is not consistent, so if we roll up the budget on that and interest rates change, it would be.
It was this sheet that had the back in the commission.
It's the only thing that.
But I mean, without any future interest at all, we're still 50 million here today.
If you have it, I sure have.
Correct.
And that number will get bigger.
Hopefully.
And
Should.
if it's not.
Right.
So there was already a motion started,
There was a motion started.
so
You
I'll
want to
second
second it?
that motion,
Okay,
and Mr. Dryden started.
here you go, right, JT. All in favor?
Aye.
No nays.
Looked over the statements, I would recommend that we approve the balance of accounts as stated in 2000.
We have a motion to review, approve the review balance of accounts. 5.2. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? Motion passed. So, moving on to, agenda item number 6.1. This is, discuss, consider act on the town's ability to offer debris drop-off to citizens impacted in inclement weather now and in the future. So, would you like to open up the
Yeah,
discussion?
I got an email from Wiley, because I'm on their list, because a lot of times we get confused with them, and that's okay. But, they are doing this for their people, they're having a free debris drop-off on, Monday through Saturday. Now, we would be able to probably do something like that, I get it, but it is concerning that we're changing up our agreement with, Republic Services and potentially not be able to have the ability to do this. And, I think debris drop-off for the town is a good idea to continue, for all the reasons that Mr. London listed, as well as Mr. Keene. Oh, sorry.
And Mr. Rushman.
Okay, I'll get it right in a minute. Sorry about that. So, I asked for this to be put on the agenda before we officially make any changes with Republic, to see if we can potentially rethink this. We have a new council sat, and maybe we have a different attitude towards this. I do think that there's all kinds of liabilities that we have, and if we're concerned about liabilities for holding this, I'm sure that our lawyer, attorney could draw up some kind of waiver form and for whatever weight it holds. I mean, when people come into this vestibule, they could easily get their shoestrings stuck and fall down and smack their face on, the little board out there, and certainly hurt themselves. There's all kinds of liabilities that we run as a town. So I don't know that worried about liability is really a reason to stop doing something that's been one of the few things really in St. Paul that brings everybody together to see each other. And so I'd like for us to be able to continue to have the ability to have debris drop off. And if we need to do a combination maybe of the larger pickups for the bulk trash pickup and also do debris, I think that would be a good thing. We have enough funds, I think, to cover maybe able to do both, or maybe work out some kind of agreement with Republic where we do one once a year and the other part of the year or something like that. So I just wanted to bring it for discussion today and to see what can be done before we make any further moves with changes to Republic.
So the reason that we considered dropping is because we were gonna do the at your house this Saturday, right? So it was gonna be more convenient for homeowners to be able to leave it at their driveway and have it taken away. But we didn't have a storm like we've had.
Yeah.
Yeah, the storm had a way of kind of showing us.
Show us a different direction. So I can tell you this.
Because right now, the little square footage that the Republic person told us. that
Yeah.
The yardage, right?
Your washer and your dryer.
There's not gonna be enough room
No.
for people to get rid of their stuff that we just had.
Right. Right, and maybe a combination of the both. I get the convenience of having a larger amount, because what did it double Cause the amount that we can put out there, and they want you to bale it with wire, by the way, to keep it, or not wire, but like twine to keep it together. It is supposed to be, you know, the size of your washer and dryer is what I was told, and it's as large as it can be, and I don't think I've ever had a pile that small. But maybe I think what the fifth Saturday, which I still don't know when it is it every fifth Saturday? Cause there's four fifth Saturdays every year.
This year, it'll be in like at the end of July.
So there's 4 times a day, 4 times a year
No,
that,
there'll be a fifth Saturday
yeah.
that they will pick up in the.
Cause every quarter of the year has a fifth Saturday. So that's why it's confusing to me when we're gonna have it.
So no, it would be on this Saturday, they would have to let us know when that's gonna be. They'd send out cards ahead of time.
Yeah.
And, one of the issues was the boom truck, the liability, their liability with those boom trucks.
Mhm.
And the area that we have not having enough space when they close this off in a few months. So it was making that additional, arrangement so that it could be picked up. Also, people were not, they have that advantage of putting out their bulk once a month, and not always do they keep it together. The people I've talked to hadn't had any objection to it. The ones I've talked to have said, yes, somebody's gonna come and get it, I don't have to take it up there.
Well, fifth Saturday is June.
Right, but I did discuss with them, said it's not gonna be then, because they already have something else scheduled in, so they're gonna do it at the end of July, and they'll send out the card.
So it's not the fifth Saturday, it's the fourth Saturday in July.
Okay.
This
time, okay.
This time.
That's fine.
But then
Maybe a
there's
combination.
also one on August 31st.
I like the fact that the combination, so I was in support of the boom truck going around, just because not everybody has the convenience of a pickup truck or a trailer to bring stuff up here. That said, I see both sides of it. I actually have volunteered with Mr. Basher,
Right.
with Mr. Swanner, with Mr. Dryden. So, I see both sides. I realistically, I feel like, you know, the cleaner we can keep St. Paul, it's only gonna benefit us. So even if we had to run it a second time, I think because the council has already moved forward and signed that agreement with Republic, we're not gonna change it midway, especially with right around the corner.
Mhm.
However, the additional service of, hey, bring it back, we'll do Greenup, I think was the term.
That was the call.
Has it been signed? Have we actually turned it in?
We signed it.
Signed it and turned it in?
Already.
Okay.
So, and you were correct, you missed that meeting.
Yeah.
You know,
So homeowners are getting the home stuff anyway. What you're bringing up is possibly just adding a day.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we could have a
And
drop.
it'll be double the amount that they were able to put out before.
So,
Sure.
Well, I'm talking about drop off. They don't
Right.
drop it off here.
Oh,
Once a year perhaps instead of twice a year, so we alternate, if we're doing, so we have once a year that we're doing, I guess, double, so it'd be be 2 washers and 2 dryers worth of material.
So here's something that came up this week.
That's what-
I'll share it because citizens are here listening as well. So after the storm, I ran the town twice. Gave it a 5-day separation period and ran the town twice. Came up with a list of 16 addresses that basically came up with storm damage. There may have been a few more that didn't get it from the back of their property to the front where I could see it. But as of June 6th, I believe it was June 6th, we had 16 total properties. So I basically guesstimated between 1 and 8 yards plus. So what I ran into with several citizens was they came out and they said, well, we're gonna pick up 4 yards on bulk pickup, but there was a opinion as to what's 4 yards, what's not. So same thing will carry over with 8 yards. If they determine 8 yards looks like this, then that's what they're gonna pick up versus the other. The rationale behind, I know that Robert had called me, had a tree down as well. So the rationale came out, why don't we take a dumpster and stick it up here in the parking lot like you used to do? And so that offer was thrown out there, but yet because we had mentioned the liability risks of continuing cleanup, Greenup, I was kind of unable to go that direction and to get a free dumpster up here. I'm in favor of the Greenup. Everybody that has ever talked to me out there knows I'm all for it. I think it's a great avenue for our town. If 8 yards twice a year is what we get for the people that maybe don't have a pickup or trailer, can move it to the curb, I think that's good. Bob can correct me, it does not have to be bound up with twine.
It's not in the contract where we have to bind it up with twine.
And let's-
They had it, when they originally presented the contract to the town that was in there.
Okay.
And we had them remove it before we signed the contract.
So unless that's changed by contract, that saves a little bit of work there. So again, that's up to the council here. If y'all would like to bring back the cleanup Greenup, I've worked it. I know the last time that it was here, we set a record with 9 40-yard dumpsters. If that works with the public, bring it back. Well, I think the citizens as a whole would be very satisfied. If you want to offer both, they would be thrilled to death. It's a way to keep St. Paul clean.
Let's do both.
I think so.
I like that.
Hey, I just,
We're probably gonna incur cost, but I mean, with the cost of keeping it clean should be,
Roads and trash, I mean, that's.
Right, nominal. Yeah.
right. Okay, I'm fine with doing both and looking into how we make that work, even once we have this road closed, we're gonna have to figure out that, I guess. You know, it would be more of a cul-de-sac here, so that turning around would be more of a trick. Hopefully the cul-de-sac's large enough. I don't know, we can figure that logistics out, I think.
And one of the other things that was, just why can't you just leave it sitting in the parking lot and let it overnight? Because then you have to have a fence, then you have to have monitoring, you have to
Yeah.
have somebody to take care of it, and then you
Right.
have to, because if you leave it open, it.
What's the liability with the boom trucks? Are they concerned, they got insurance? What's
Yeah,
their?
I don't know, there was some concern about the boom trucks and how they were offloading some of the vehicles and the trailers, so there was some concern.
In the previous past, that did happen where they came and picked it, and they're talented, pick it straight out of the trailer. At the last one, we basically.
Yeah, pulled it off.
We pulled it off
Yeah,
into the
last
parking lot
few
where
we
they
did
picked
do
it
that.
off the parking lot.
I've actually
and that
helped do
was-
that myself.
Yeah.
So, you know, we could use the field, you know, we'll still have a
Possibility.
portion of the field, and it may be better for their trucks anyway, so they're not having to hit the concrete with the grab. But there's ways to get around it. I'd like to at least heartily look into doing both. And maybe it's only once a year, I'm fine with that. I don't know, Mr. Dryden, do you have a preference?
At least once.
Yeah, at least once. And I think the hazardous material, paints and batteries and tires and things like that, we should continue to do that service. And that really needs to be done here, because you can't drop that off on the side of your curb. So. I just wanna make sure we got this on here because the budget's coming up and how we're gonna have to work on 2025's budget.
So we made a motion for, do we have, is anybody else have discussion items on that? So.
Yeah, I'll motion that we add at least one Greenup here on site drop off, including hazardous materials.
Okay, and I will,
Contingent cost?
I'll second.
Contingent costs.
we've got a second by Dryden.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? And I will look up and get information to the council within a month, and so we'll know the answers to the questions for you.
Thanks.
Okay. As far as that. Agenda item 6-2, discussion only with regard to options for a public alert system. This was something that I've been working on for y'all. I think I may have been updated you on the last email, learned a lot more since then. So it was brought up at a couple of meetings ago, I believe, about the sirens that Wiley had, the tornado sirens that were coming down, and they're replacing with new. So those sirens, as to date, have not been sent out for auction. Only one has been pulled down. They are not sure whether they're gonna go to auction or gonna be donated. They're hoping they can be donated. If they are, they've offered potentially here or Inspiration. Inspiration is also interested. So what got me started in this is because the discussions that I heard about the cost factor for these siren poles caught my ears. And so I've been to Princeton, I've been to the city of Wiley, talked with Brandon Blythe, the fire chief there, the fire chief in Princeton, found out everything you can think of on 911 systems. There's also software, Smart 911, Civic Plus that Princeton runs, Nixle, which is what Wiley and Parker are operating underneath. There's Everbridge with the county, but that's internal only. So even if you get the siren pole up, you're gonna have to have one of those softwares in order to work that siren and tie in. I've gotta get back with Brandon, make sure that Nixle, if we wanted to go with the sirens, that Nixle is the one to go. So when it was brought up on the meeting, it's gonna be somewhere around $17,000 if we had two sirens to be able to have those two free sirens installed.
Each or total?
total for two. Now, that's not the maintenance cost per year, that's not the, maintenance material cost per year. That's not the software nixle, I'm sorry? Yeah, that's not running the electric bill, that's not running Nixle, a software package that talks with Wiley. Wiley, if you're on the same pattern with them, then they're able to fire off these sirens to do it. He suggested that, he had told LeAnn that we needed to put back another $50,000 in case the old siren poles, take a dive and we have to replace them. That's the cost of buying new siren poles to put up, is at about $25,000 each. So if you add the whole total up so far, you're probably looking somewhere around 75,000 to go that direction. I'm doing research with, again, Smart 911, a company called Rave, Civic Plus, Nixle. These are software derivatives where Hunt County runs them, Van Zandt County is operational, the states of Louisiana, California, Arkansas runs a Smart 911 system. So what that is if a tornado alert goes in this area, you have the option of going online, putting your cell phone, your home phone, your email, your social media, anything that you want them on in any amount. If you had 5 kids, you could actually have 7 accounts all included in this package. So when that alert goes off, it actually hits every media that you've put on there for us to get a hold of, and it's just instantaneous. So again, that's what Van Zandt's running. My mother-in-law has it in Canton. That's why I went that direction with that company. And so I'm currently getting bids on those as well.
So that would be instead of or in addition to?
It could be either or. We know that in order to run the sirens, you're gonna probably have to have Nixle, a program called Nixle, which is what Wiley operates, and that allows them to set off that siren. The only problem that Brandon Blythe has with it is they have 9 sirens located in Wiley proper. So they border Rockwell County, Dallas County, over in Rowlett and around. And he said the biggest problem that he has is they do not have the ability to set off one siren if a tornado is next to Rowlett. It goes off everywhere. And he said when that happens, his 911 system gets overrun with people calling saying, why is my siren going off? I don't see anything outside. So even although there are goods and bads with everything that's offered, all I'm wanting to do is I backed up a step. I'm getting all the bids that I can for you guys, all the information I can. I'll put together a packet for y'all so that you'll be able to take a look. And then at that point, when we finally find out whether Wiley Fire is going to be able to actually donate these our direction at that point, because it's not for sure yet.
Yeah.
But once we have that in place, then we should have all the information for about 4 or 5 different options. And at that point, you can look at your budget, you can look at what it costs. A lot of them do very similar things. The plus on them in one aspect is when I was running for office, I heard from a lot of people says, I sure wish they could reach out to us in a non-emergency way. And so where we send out the news flyers once or twice a year, this program does allow, all of them do allow for us to non-emergency wise, reach out like a storm. If we put a dumpster in a parking lot, if you're signed up on that program with the system, then we can send that out and say, we're gonna have a cleanup on June the 11th, dumpster in the parking lot, bring any brush you have down. We're able to reach the masses instantly without the cost of stamps, postage, envelopes, printing, any of that. So there is some pluses to that as well. If we get away from that end, what's the cost? About $400 to do a mailer. So if you take that same $400 we're paying for a mailer now, if you take it off being able to reach those people without the stamps, right now, one company is $2,500 a year. So all of a sudden you take that offer down to 2. We do 2 mailers, you reduce that on down to about $1,600. So there's some good and bad to look at. I'm not gonna sell on anything. I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna show y'all about 5 or 6 options. And that way you're able to make the best decision for the public, and that's what they're looking for. So that's my discussion point.
Do you think that'll be on next month's agenda?
I think I can have all bids in by then. I believe that's correct. I will do my best.
So the council prior to you taking office, already made a decision on moving forward with this.
That's correct. They
But you
misunderstand.
So you said that Wiley still doesn't know if they're gonna get rid of them, is that what I'm understanding?
They are going to have to get rid of them.
Okay, they have to, but, okay, so,
So theoretically, in the bigger picture of things, the way it was explained to me is they go to auction. They didn't want them to go to auction, they were wanting to donate. Evidently, Inspiration had tried to get a hold, or they were offered to Inspiration and us both. I know Inspiration was interested in one of these siren posts for their neighborhood up here. Which kind of makes sense in a way, that's the highest point around here. So if you were gonna put one, I would say let Inspiration have one.
That's why originally we were gonna go with
Two.
two, because, you know, we got such a spread that
Correct.
you wouldn't be able to hear, but if Inspiration's got one, we don't need to put one right here.
Well, that's one of the options. If the question now, and I'll reach out to Brandon again to find out, has he gotten the approval to skip the auction and donate? Or is the city going to make them put these out for auction for bid?
so we approved something that's contingent upon,
My understanding at that time was that.
It was a
they
done
would
deal?
They would be
Well, we
donating
approved it
because
based-
auctioning, not many people would take up on the auction, so. that's
Yeah,
what-
we approved it, they hadn't even taken it down yet,
Yeah,
so.
and the deal was we were supposed to get the best one, and I knew there was.
yeah,
one on the
but
way.
17K versus 50K, that's a big jump.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, absolutely.
Nice job. Nothing else for me for 16.
Okay. 6.3, agenda item, discussion only with regard to budget planning. Is that what you're bringing up as far as this goes? Okay.
Figure it out next week.
You want to explain, you want me to?
Either way,
Go.
last year we waited till about the end of July to start working on the budget. There was just a lot going on, but, wanted to start trying to get ahead of that. One of the reasons for a lot of the agenda items was to see what we had coming up and how to plan. Got several dates there in July. Some of you had expressed Fridays were easier for you, some of you said Saturday mornings were easier for you. So, while everybody still has life in them to go through the budget, we're gonna see if any of those dates worked for anybody, or if you had other suggestions. And then also so that, and if you have items coming up, if you can start putting those together, if you'll funnel those through Kent. We're trying to work on a list together of things, so that I can start winding down my office and getting ready for a new person. If you can funnel those things through him, and then that way I'm getting it from one source.
So me and LeAnn talked today about this, I'm sorry, today about this. I had her pick Fridays and Saturdays and asked her to give me 3 of each. That way, I know some of the council's available on Fridays. I talked to Justin this afternoon about his availability. David, you're the only one I did not. And so it's one of those, knock the budget out. I know Robert has mentioned maybe we could have some kind of workshop, in order to do it. LeAnn basically says last year this thing took somewhere between 2-3 hours.
It was a couple hours.
Okay, a couple hours worth on the budget. If that's the case and you guys wanna meet, say on a Friday at noon even, then we might be able to stretch at it and stack a workshop and go back in.
Well, yeah, a special meeting. I do think we should have a special meeting around the ILA with the county versus agreements that the county's already entered into with WOPAC and one other company, I can't think of the name of it, and how those work, and have Abiel, as well as I think it's Adam from the county, be able to talk to us as a group, in a quorum, so that we can understand as a group how that's working and how we need to budget for that kind of thing next year. And then also maybe tag that as, that meeting, we could start doing the budget, maybe we finish it, maybe we don't finish it, but we could start. And then, have as many of these as we need to be able to get it right.
I would be willing to come up and meet with LeAnn and take a first crack at some of the numbers if you would let me to.
Yeah, I think.
You gonna go
what's-
over budget like last year?
I think that I think that's fine, once we, I think that's fine, once we have a general idea of some of the things that we wanna do around maybe these,
Well, I mean,
E911, potential of, I think, St. Paul Road, some of these type things.
Well, 80% of the budget is really non-discretionary.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if we can, like, solidify that.
Right.
And then we can spend our time talking about the discretionary stuff
Yeah.
that we want to do.
That's right. Yeah, that's probably fine.
Last year, everybody was kind of new, ran through it real quick. It was,
But there was a lot of going through, I mean, we went through every line item, but it
Yeah.
was a lot of discussion over, paper costs. and
Yeah,
postage
we don't need
costs.
to get into that kind of thing.
Right, and I don't mind meeting with you and LeAnn in order to start that process.
Because we talked today about getting him involved in it so he can see what's.
Couldn't grab it back.
And so any of the 24, 25 items that you guys think, ILA agreement, other things that you wanna delve into and take a look at, be sure,
Yeah.
send me an email on that, I'll compile a list, and at that workshop, we'll be able to get everybody to join. But do please consider the highlighted dates that you see on the calendar.
Do you want dates now?
We can. if you-
And we can try, if you think we can get together on one.
19th, 26th, or 27th work for me.
Yeah, this should work for me. This should work for me, I think.
19 or 26, anybody
19th,
opposed?
26th, or 27th.
JT's in.
19 or 26 works.
Don't be answering.
You can call home.
No.
What time?
Safety cost.
Well, you're not available till 3:30, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
So what time are you thinking? If I'm thinking, I'd say 3:30, if that's the first we can have you available, but,
I'm available.
okay,
I might be in town whenever.
okay. 19 or 26, take your pick. Robert, do you have a,
I'm trying to get the cruise director to get back to me.
okay?
Concierge helps.
Concierge, there you go. Yeah, no, that should be good, according to it.
Which one, 19 or 26, according to your cruise director?
Usually
Either
we get
one.
We usually get the certified taxable value worksheet.
19,
that-
let's start 19 if we need to do.
19, July 19.
19th's the winner.
Yep,
So this is
At what time?
3:30?
3:30?
So this is a workshop, right? So.
Yeah, I don't like using that term, but yes.
But I mean, technically it is.
Yes, but
So-
but there's no such thing as
So
a
there's
workshop
not-
in the eyes of the state, really.
But there's really not any
'Cause it's a
voting on anything,
No.
because it has to be a supermajority, so we would all have to be there.
Yes, that's
Mhm.
true.
And you're gonna vote on the final budget anyway.
Not on that.
Not on that
Not on
meeting.
that day, not on that
That's
day,
correct.
that's what I'm saying.
That's
It's-
correct.
It's more for,
So it's really just work process, it's not, we're not voting on it.
No,
Back to the
but
calendar.
it is public.
It will be a
Sure.
public meeting, that's correct. Is everybody good on the 19th at 3:30?
Yes.
Okay, so, 6-4 on there was, act on the date, scheduled budget meeting. We have, the 19th at 3:30. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion the 19th at 3:30.
Second.
July.
I'll second.
2nd July, 19th. All in favor?
Aye.
Is the plan then to approve the budget on August the 12th meeting?
then it usually the August meeting.
Okay. I will be for that.
I'm sorry?
I'll be here, I just wanna
Okay.
make sure that's,
Okay.
that's an agenda item for August 12th.
Okay. We have, 6.5 discussion only on council requests.
Again, that was, if you can funnel those for Kent, I'm trying to weed everything down in the office so that it's left in a decent condition for whoever follows, and, that will help, so I'm not getting a lot of redundancy, and we've gotta focus. That way, if, there's anything remaining, then we can at least have a list going for where we are on different subjects, so.
I'm sorry, I'm kinda lost, what are you asking again?
To go through.
Just, if you can funnel subjects through Kent, so we know we're not having any redundancies.
Not too many.
Not too many, if you will, furnish them to him, because that seems like the most, normal transition so that.
Even
he-
agenda, even meeting agenda items, you want everything?
No, I mean, you can send them both to us, but, the reason I'm asking is just so that we can get it, a concise list, and then what isn't done, or what we're in the process of, he's aware of it.
I have a little bit of a question on that one. When it comes to agenda meeting items, I have no problem funneling through my direction if it's something I can reach out. Most of y'all, I try to get in contact with sometime throughout the month to try to disseminate some of this. As far as them being able to request something from you, I think that's something the council should be able to do.
Yeah.
Is reach
Yeah.
out to you. I don't wanna
Yeah,
take that
oh,
away
no,
from
no,
them.
that's fine, I'm just saying, just to include you so that if there's any redundancy that you've heard or something that you're working on, cause you're,
So you're just talking, CC me on an email, make sure I'm brought
Yeah.
into the loop, okay?
yeah, please.
Any discussion? None?
All emails, CC you?
CC me. I guess if you have something that you
I
need.
mean, either email it to him, CC me, however you wanna do it, and
Yes.
if you'll put photos on them.
Okay. It's not my thing. So, okay. 6.6, discuss, consider, and act on employee and personnel accountability.
Hmm?
Do we have discussion on this?
Was that,
It's yours, JT.
yeah, no, did we have 6.5? We just did 6.5.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so discuss, consider, act, employee, personnel accountability, so it's to my knowledge that we have a new employee, or we've made an extension offer. of
We're
extension?
working towards that.
Okay. What does that mean? Can we have some clarification? Can I have some clarification? Can the council have some clarification?
So, right now, LeAnn's the only one here at City Hall, if anybody out here that didn't know. So because of that, we have interviewed, someone here local, as far as can be somebody at the front, open the door, answer the phone, assist LeAnn in whatever it is she needs, learn a little bit from Roz before she transitions whatever she's going to do. So we had a first interview with Robert, as far as that goes, a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Second interview with LeAnn. And so we're waiting on a computer. We have to get a new computer because Roz still remotes in. Two people can't work on the same system when you do remote. So IT is in the process of getting us a new computer. Once we get that up and running, then hopefully we'll be able to bring this new person on to assist LeAnn and City Hall with all of y'all's wishes, building permits, phone calls, anything that comes in. It's just that ability.
Heavy part-time?
It is part-time, 9 to 1, 4 days a week.
Okay.
That is correct.
And our consultant already gave us the salary ranges and all that stuff. So we're going with what they
So, yes, we're within range. And she is agreement on all that. I have not set a start date, have talked with her about that. Told her, explained what the holdup is. So as soon as we can get that computer in here to get it operational, then, at that point, we can reach back out to her
So the
and
computer's
see if
the
we
holdup?
can't get her started. I'm sorry?
So the computer's the holdup?
That is correct.
I asked that they, give me a quote on a desktop and a laptop, because we're gonna have to change out computers anyway with the new town secretary coming in, and age of the laptop may be the more, or maybe the best solution is posting it on the desktop.
Are we,
So they were working on getting it. I talked to her a while ago, she's working on getting that to be, should have it in a few days, so.
is the computer the start date, or can we just?
That's what
Can
I'm
we just
trying
have
to-
the start date be like now and let her shadow LeAnn and watch what LeAnn's doing?
Well, that was something I said, had mentioned that maybe that she could go ahead and come on in.
Please.
The payroll start is on the 17th, I would say, like the 17th.
We agreed months ago to,
It-
when we voted on this months ago, so.
It was tentatively June 1st is what, originally I had semi-discussed with Alex, her name is Alex, by the way. And so, and I met with IT as well to put that in motion to try to speed this along. So we're still in that limbo land, so. I
June
guess we-
1st, you said?
that's when we had.
I didn't know that y'all had talked about it.
Well, I think when me and, Robert had met with her, we'd said, as soon as we can get this working, and it was somewhere around June first.
My recommendation is now.
Now.
Yesterday,
Yeah,
last year,
I mean, this was a hire that we voted on,
last year.
yeah, months and months ago, so,
Okay,
I mean, get the computer, get the laptop whenever when we can, but get it.
I think we've got some things she can do. about
Plenty of
the computer.
projects up here to get worked on.
So, and she can't use the computer that's there now because Roz
She
uses it?
can, we'll coordinate, we'll figure something.
Thank you.
Works for me, okay, and then I guess, so, moving on to Roz. So, where's Roz in all this? If we're hiring somebody else, we've cut it, since budget is about to be a hot topic. Is the hiring of this new employee plus the secretary, or town administrator going to be, the potential new town administrator going to be, is that within budget? Do we have to adjust for that?
I thought the plan was to work towards having all employees be physically present.
And that's kind of where I'm going with it, is what is, since we're gonna have somebody here yesterday, what's that timeline look like? Should we start, that's something that we need to be discussing about now, not,
Well, there's gonna be, for sure, overlap. How long?
I thought the plan was for the administrator to get in and make decisions.
if there's a plan that was never discussed amongst
The
me.
administrator is gonna have the discretion for hiring.
Isn't it you present?
For Roz?
No, for the
The discussion with the
Okay,
consultant
right.
was that the new administrator gets in and figures out
I recall.
who needs to be kept, who needs to be let go,
Right.
do we need more, is
Perfect.
part-time okay, does
Yeah.
it need to be full-time?
Right, but the addition of Alex.
Alex.
So of Alex that was the topic last year, and then we then superseded that with
The plan for
going.
the town administrator.
Going
It
with
was
the plan.
clear with Alex that this is temporary, and that we don't know long-term, and it's part-time.
So has
And
Roz
she was
been
ami-
advised?
She was amiable to that. I don't know what's been talked to Roz about.
No one has mentioned anything about Roz not being remote or not being physically here.
Well, that was supposed to be on a temporary basis, and yet
No,
that's
that
not
was
done.
never said it was temporary.
So then who approved it
The
full-time?
remote was temporary.
Roz is not full-time, is she?
Yes,
Oh, she is.
she's 32 hours.
And for the record, we're advertising the new role as 40 hours.
Nine,
So-
9 to 5?
Yeah,
9 to 6?
Again-
40 hours.
yeah,
Nice.
whatever it takes.
The last I was of the understanding, and this was conversations with the consultant, and here is that the administrator was going to be the one making the decisions on personnel so that they could create their own environment.
The beauty is if that personnel is not here, and we have to account for Roz. So who's being held
Let her
accountable
finish.
for Roz?
Let her finish.
So that was, at least that, in my mind, that's the best plan, so that this person can create her own environment.
I know that was communicated with Alex, that the new administrator could choose to not keep you.
Right.
And that's also, Roz is also aware that that's a possibility.
So we'll defer that to the new administrator.
Okay, so,
There is Roz does quite a bit that, probably that no one's really aware of.
that's a
but
problem, because nobody
I-
is aware of
Well-
what Roz existed, and nobody still knows who approved Roz telecommuting as permanent, as of yet.
It was discussed that it was discussed in a meeting.
Which
in
meeting?
which, y'all, if I,
Y'all, I wasn't a part of that meeting, so not y'all, so.
Okay,
which
that
meeting?
was brought up, and I'm not sure why it's even a discussion right now, but the idea was proposed by council. I
Do you
didn't
recall
propose
that?
it because I
What-
didn't think
which
it was
part? Her
something.
working remote?
Her working remote.
Yeah, I remember it being a
But-
temporary solution because
Temporary.
I
needing to
just
come,
remember seeing-
because without her, we weren't gonna be able to get things done, so I remember.
Scanning, filing.
Right,
that
I
project.
remember it being a temporary solution, I
So,
remember it being.
But
is
that's-
scanning done? So, okay, so then if scanning, she was doing scanning, where are we at with the 4 boxes of scanning that was done last year?
That's kind of far beyond where we are right now.
So it's been done?
No, it has not.
Oh, okay, so then, if she's doing scanning, so who's doing scanning? My point is where I'm trying to go is, what is she doing?
She works on permits, she works on the bank, she works on,
So she works on permits, she
Payments.
works on banking.
she's
then what are
been
you doing?
working on, I'm sorry?
Then what are you doing? If she's doing banking and she's doing permitting outside of budgeting, so then what are you doing?
Really? Something funny?
No, address me, I'm asking the question.
No, I just, the laughing, I'm not really sure. what
Oh,
that's
I
about.
get it.
I think,
That's a public comment.
Let's just keep it to whoever has a question up
Yeah.
here.
I answer calls, I answer all the issues, I answer.
Are you questioning if there's enough volume to need 2 people at this point?
I am. I think that would probably, yeah, that's a.
Well, my,
Well,
my.
I mean, we are working to get a new administrator that will have, that is gonna be responsible to figure this out. So, I don't think we're gonna make a decision and make any kind of call in the next month or 2 before the new administrator is brought on.
Okay, Mayor, you sent that an email with an update saying that, and I guess I retorted with time that the building is supposed to be opened up. How often has that time been opened up on time, which is 9:01 is our posted hours?
Again, each week I send you an update. That's something I've always done. The posted hours of town administration is 9 to 1. So, in my opinion, be it Roz, be it Alex, be it LeAnn, 9 to 1 is the current hours. It needs to be the current hours. And so, the only problem, again, that I even brought up to you guys, because I answer to these people right out here, which is timesheets. I have no way of validating the timesheets. I'm doing the best I can follow suit on the process that's been set up to this point, but I have no way of validating timesheets. If I don't, then I can't answer to you, and I have to answer to you. And so I brought the email up to all of you guys to just give you a rundown of certain things that was going on that I noticed. I'm not saying LeAnn's doing a bad job at all, but I am saying that we've got some gaps in there, be it Roz being remote, be it trying to get Alex brought on, trying to get LeAnn some help that she needs, trying to get LeAnn here from an hour and a half located away. Again, that's up to the council to take a look at all of what I sent you and bring it up to date with what you want to be responsive to your constituents.
Okay.
Because
In the month that you've been coming.
1 month,
Okay, that you've been in term, you're here every day, or try to be here every day?
every morning, until, between 12 and 3.
How many times has town hall been open up at 9 AM?
I have to look back at 9, I'd have to look back.
Posted hours.
So I'd have to look back at the records. It's rough at times to be open at 9.
And I did tell you, when I moved, that was gonna be hard, and I would be here, but I am here every day, I have been here every day. And if that's a problem, that should have been brought up a long time ago, but and I gave y'all options to do something back in May of last year when I moved. Y'all chose not to, so I'm still here, and I'm still here every day. So if that's what we're picking at right now,
No, picking on anything, I asked questions
I
if we
just-
were being here late every day.
And I brought that out as a reason to say even the new administrator, no matter what happens, posted hours are posted hours. That's something that everybody here expects,
Well,
and so.
we will be able to seal up some of the opening issues with a new hire.
Do we need to change our hours of operation, since since LeAnn is having to drive a long way.
I don't think anybody's ever had to wait. There was one day, I think, that I drove up, and there was one gentleman here, he was outside, but he was on
Well,
his phone.
That's not the point.
Yeah, I think
I know,
it's just in
but-
general, we need to honor
It's
the
always,
hours.
and it's always been 9 o'clock.
But
I
it-
would think it opened at 8:30 might should be a better idea, but.
I would say 9 to 1 until the new administrator comes in and figures out what he or she wants to do.
So maintain.
Yeah.
So do we wanna make sure that, so then how do we account for 9 to 1?
We should be able to look at the alarm codes, and whenever the alarm's disengaged, that should tell us somebody's here, and always a few people that know those codes.
I happen to have those.
It's not,
I mean,
It's
that's
not
one
any-
way of
it's
being able to
no
make sure that the
secret.
building's open. It's only a subset of people, it's not everybody, right?
I think
Like
your
five,
point, JT, is
4.
made. You want us to be open at 9. I think we've got a solution to help.
Right, and it's just not me, so it's, I'm speaking for the citizens, right? So, people have addressed concerns with me, I've read things in public forums, and then I've observed myself. And when our mayor addresses it, or states it, I have to address it. So,
Okay, I think you stated it well, I think the mayor's heard it.
Yes, like I said, the only question that I have on any of that when I reported you guys was the time sheets. So it's one of those where, whether we start at 10, we start at 9, we start at 8, doesn't matter. She's stressed out, I told her 9 to 5, peel out of here if that's the case. So we can start and stop your time at 9 to 5. It's the open-ended, where I have to sign off on a timesheet that I haven't visually witnessed, that makes it difficult. And I'm not distrusting LeAnn or Roz at all, that is not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, if I, as the mayor, have to sign off on a public timesheet for pay, somehow we have to have a way of now, tomorrow, in the future with a new employee, however the council wants to do it, it has to be reportable. And that's for someone to figure out.
so using that term, we're at the trust in reporting and being able to verify, so he can sit down and put his name to, is LeAnn here on time, or are these hours of operation accountable, or is Roz logging in and working 32 hours a week?
You basically need something that a corporate office has, and where you get in and you clock in your little deal, or you clock out when you leave, I don't know, but town's never had anything to that extent, so.
Can I recommend that we let the new administrator figure this out? That's what they're,
That's what
I mean,
I'm
we've got we pay consultants to help us.
So in between now and that person gets here, what is Roz doing this entire time?
Roz she keeps the laws of what she does.
So how's that log verified? So is that
No,
self-reported?
verified. No, I trust her. I
Okay,
trust her to work.
so then I have to take your word for it.
I-
The taxpayers have to-
Technically, does she work for the mayor, or does she work for LeAnn?
I
Roz?
believe,
Roz works for LeAnn,
Works for LeAnn.
and LeAnn works for us.
And I don't question what she does. She's probably one of the most honest people I've ever met. She keeps a log. I know the project she's been working on. I've been discussing them with him. So it's not like, I'm
Again,
not sure.
I've never said anything about Roz's workload, any of that. Again, I just brought up things, if we're making changes here at Town Hall, things that need to be repaired, fixed, or set up that we've never
You're
had
talking about
for the future.
sealing up some gaps, that's normal.
That's normal.
prudent, and it's good stewardship of what we gotta do here. I think trying to come up with a solution for the next month or two to fill in a gap between the next administrator, I think it's kind of a waste of time.
I have some trust issues with trusting people do their, when, you know, I guess, what are we stating on your timesheets? What are you putting on your timesheets if you're late every day? Cause if I was late every day, then I wouldn't be here.
If I get here at 9 or after, I put 9:30.
Okay, but the building's still not open up at 9.
If if I'm not here at 9, it's not open.
JT, there's sometimes she's here till 10 o'clock at night.
Compensated?
Sometimes not, sometimes
You
not
should report
compensated.
every time that you're working.
I know, but there's sometimes I don't.
Why not?
Overtime had not been reported.
I don't trust it. I don't trust it. I don't, can't just go off the buddy system here. Well, the buddy system is eliminated because Roz is not here. So, so
I'm
there's
sorry,
there's not.
I'm being offended here.
Well, here's the thing, I don't think, right, so I think there's a problem with accountability.
I'm not sure.
How many times
I'm not
has it
sure
come up?
accountability is a question when you drive almost 2 hours to get here.
So at the same
Every
token, that
day,
when you.
every day, so that you can
You
make
made that
sure.
choice.
I made that choice, but I also gave y'all the choice to do something different a year ago.
And you gave it right back to us and.
Okay,
it's a-
I'm not gonna have the
Hang on,
conversation.
hang on.
I'm done.
Hang on.
I've
So,
already resigned,
you-
so give it up.
You're still here.
okay,
So, how many times is phone call, how many times is the phone ring during the day?
I'm only here till 11, 12 o'clock before I can get out to meet with someone.
From 11 to 12, okay, from 9 to noon, how many times is this phone ring?
The phone does not ring very often.
Okay.
So, but again, my category to you guys is more on justification.
The reason and it's just, that's just touching it, right? So we've got,
You're dropping a grenade without a solution.
okay, well,
Well, and you're pinpointing something directly to a person who
Hang on,
needs to go
let me
into
do it.
an
Let me-
executive
so,
session.
so while we touched on, we had misinformation, here's what I'm gathering throughout this entire meeting. We've got misinformation from the emergency systems, right? So this, the Sirens, we were given 17,000, and we signed off on it, so we wasted time.
What does that have to do with opening hours?
I'm going full circle here.
17,000, and you were also told.
Leann, please.
He's,
Let,
He's what?
nothing.
continue
Was
with your
that?
discussion, JT, if you have a point.
I do. There's, I feel like a lot of my items that I request, I don't feel, get thrown to the wayside and get put on the back burner, like the hiring of an additional person. Like that was last year that we made that decision, and we're finally coming full circle. Where are we at with emails for P&Z?
We have a policy that needs to be.
Where are the
implemented.
emails?
The emails are
Council
sitting, the
passed,
emails are sitting and waiting.
council passed,
As a point of order, does this all fall under 6.6?
Yes.
Or are you bringing up new?
no, it all falls under 6.6 accountability. So we as council approve.
What does accountability have to do with emails?
We all approved that. Where are we at? We've approved work. Is the work getting done? So who's gonna hold her accountable if she's not doing the work?
Well, you brought up hiring somebody and we've done it.
Okay, so we're
We
gonna
got-
allow the bad
we got
behavior.
interviews on Friday with 4 administrator positions.
Okay, so so we also as council passed last year for striping. Where are we at with that?
You gotta find somebody to do it, JT.
Okay, and why is it, what happened to the previous contractor that did the work for us?
Well, I tried calling him last week. I even told him,
Mm-hmm.
he didn't call me back. I can't hold a gun to people's head to get somebody to do something. I think you're being totally unreasonable, and I'm taking great offense to your attitude.
Okay.
I have done.
You could do
I-
something about it.
I've
It's an
gone.
at-will employment and an at-will state.
JT, please.
So,
What
that
is
said, so
this?
I reached out to that contractor, and that contractor was definitely willing to do the work, except that we approved the painting and striping. However, what was conveyed to him
Did you
was,
reach out to
what
him and he
happened to
called you
be
back?
was, what was conveyed to him was signage and asphalt, something that we did not approve.
No.
Okay, so again, the accountability comes back to, if she can't, if we as council made decisions to do something and to execute on those somethings, but it's not being executed.
Okay, whatever. Make it whatever you want to, JT.
Okay, just like we passed emails, and here we are, June 10th, that we passed back May 2023. Where are we at with emails? The email creation for 5 people.
Are you talking for the ones for P and Z?
for P and Z. So again, little things like that.
Policy. We don't even
So,
have
but,
an email
okay,
policy.
I'll say something
You have
about
no
that.
policy.
It doesn't matter, if the council told you to go make 5 emails for those people, regardless, if we want to take the gun and shoot ourselves in the foot as council, you gotta let us do it. If we're supposed to have an email policy in place to be able to, we have emails, but we have no email policy in place. How does council have emails?
You have
And
email.
so I do agree with that point. I don't know that we need to continue to go down this path, because I think LeAnn's already made it clear that she's gonna exit deployment here. So I don't know that we have to keep going down that way, but that is a good point. We did ask for those to be created, and they didn't get
And
created.
P&Z also wondered how those were gonna be used with them. Nobody covers that with anybody. It's just like, do it, but
It's
there's no.
created and then we go discuss it with them, right, council passed it. It's, if you're gonna have formalized communication as an outlet to, as a public servant, if you're gonna conduct public business, don't use an @Yahoo email address, or your personal email address is what the currently
Yeah,
P&Z is having to do.
it's a bad system, and I thought we did resolve that a while back. Anyway,
That's my point, is that I have several items that we have moved forward with, and yet somehow, every time, I feel like I'm being targeted where my items aren't going forward. So how do we help increase that accountability, is where this goes. Because I don't trust that I'm not being targeted by that seat.
I think I'm the one being targeted. Thank you very much.
Have you addressed specific issues like this?
In the past, yes, there was several, so one of the requests that I made will say the alarm. So I asked for this last year with another council member present, in her office, clear as day. Hey, I need this request, and I clarified, as JT Trevino, seat 4, sitting council is asking for this, and it just got brushed off. And then I had to address it with the new mayor, and I said, hey, I've made this request, I wanna know what's going on. Where are we at with it? She said, I don't understand. I need more clarification. Here you go. If you needed more clarification, you should have asked for that last year. But my point is that there's topics of discussion that get prioritized, and as a sitting council member, as an official council member, none of my stuff ever gets prioritized. And even then, when we make a decision, we as council make a decision, I can't trust that it's gonna get executed. I can't trust that employee. I can't trust that that employee knows what her employee is doing. And if she can't tell me what she's doing, then I'm gonna go back up. Okay, well, LeAnn, if your employee, you don't know what your employee is doing, then I'm gonna go to the mayor. Mayor, do you know what your employee is doing? No, then that falls on us. I can't trust that, I can't trust that I'm not being targeted.
I think we're moving forward with, like Councilman Dryden said, we're moving forward with getting the town administrator, and LeAnn's already announced that she wants to move on.
And I already explained that I've taken this job as far as I can with as much as I understand, and it was time for somebody with proper training and someone who could deal with the subjects, and I gave you that opportunity a year ago to do something different. Nobody took it, so I did the best I could, and here we are.
And thank you for your service. However, but for the service that you provide for everybody else, because I can't trust that that my service or
In
any
other
of my
words,
requests.
and I understand that you're upset with me because you pressured me to change the agenda for the election agenda, but you can't take it out on me here.
Question from here. The emails that we're talking about in that one particular issue, those are created in here, correct?
They're sitting there waiting. We're just waiting on whether.
No.
When did they get created?
When were they here? That's my question.
They're not, what do you mean here?
You said they're created, correct?
I've told the IT people to create them and have them waiting, depending on whether we're gonna go forward with an IT policy.
We made the
If we're
decision.
not gonna do an IT policy, and we're just gonna let everybody go willy-nilly, that's fine.
That's your
we'll just do
opinion.
it.
I was under the impression that when we met with IT, it was clear they were gonna cut us an email IT policy with 5 emails for the P&Z, period. Is that correct?
She sent those today, you saw them.
I didn't see them, but you said we got them, right?
So we should be able to get those out to the P and Z tomorrow,
There's
correct?
nothing that prevents us from giving you do not have to have an IT policy to give someone an email for an entity. There's plenty of companies out there, now it's not the right thing to do, again, back to my analogy about shooting yourself in the foot. I agree, in an ideal world, we'd have a policy first.
Yeah.
But I do also agree, it's more important for them to have a town email before an IT policy. Priority wise, it's more important for them to have that email, start doing business through that email, and then we can catch up on the IT policy.
One of the other options in the emails that has come up is to have the one email for P and Z, and each person can then respond from there.
And who brought that up?
IT.
So again,
You can't-
this is
you
just
can't
another.
track those, though.
Right, so here,
You can't track a personal email, so.
Right.
Anything that's on a town email, we can.
This just goes back to again, me being able to trust that employee to do the position, because again, we gave what the agenda was. I put the item on as an agenda, or I guess I put an agenda item. We all passed it, and then that seat went off and did whatever she thought was right for her, not for what we made,
No.
not what we concluded on, not what
Maybe
we
the new
voted
person
on.
will be a much better person at this.
I'm saying, again, with all due respect, I don't think that I can trust that seat and want to continue doing business with that person in that seat. So, I'd like to act on making a motion that we consider this or continue to deliberate with that person exiting sooner than the exit date that she provided us.
I second the motion.
So do you want to specify what exactly this motion is?
Termination. I can't trust this employee. That I feel like I'm singled out. That's three
JT,
items
I have
that's
never
three items that I
singled you
put,
out.
that's three items that I put on there. And mind you, Councilman, I have requested to have emails, data pulled for, a year's worth of time, so we don't lose any track of or stride in continuing business as a town, and have just been met with opposition.
You have not.
So, again,
Ken,
my
have I
motion-
not worked with you every day on trying to get you as much information as possible to get
Not
this through?
not without opposition, and the opposition is always, how do I stop, JT? How do I figure out how to not do something?
No.
Versus, let's
Never.
do what council voted
Never.
on.
Never. Never.
How long did it take to get these emails, and if these emails have been created, where are they at?
Let's clarify your motion.
Okay, my motion is to move forward with the discussion and consideration and acting of not moving forward with termination, with terminating the employees on an earlier date than what was given for
I think you need to
resignation.
be specific about a
Okay, so
date,
then
don't you? I mean,
When's everybody's availability to meet?
we were gonna meet on the 19th,
In a month? So,
the 19th of,
July.
oh, yeah, that's true.
So,
I guess the next meeting already on the books is the 8th, but we do need, it needs to be more specific, I think, unless you just.
Okay, prior to the
I
next
agree.
meeting, so then we deliberate what date that we can, I have to have that first, I have to have validity with having that meeting, right? And then I can have a date or specify a date
Out
after.
of that meeting.
So
let's-
Justin second.
We're on this tightrope walking it, so let's
Right.
go ahead and walk to the other side.
Okay.
We need to have a meeting, a special meeting, right?
I believe, and I don't know, is this part of that 22?
My concern is it's gonna put in jeopardy the new administrator in the transition.
It is a valid concern, however, I, as a sitting council member, do not feel I can trust that seat I can't trust that anything that we pass is going to get accomplished, so.
Is there anything that can be done at this point with you to repair, control, tolerate a working relationship, to not go down that road until
September.
a new hire is coming to
Till
place.
September, I can't trust that our taxpayers' dollars are getting what they're paying for.
There's a motion and a second on the
So
floor.
it sounds like, yeah, but
This
it's
should
not
have
clear
been
what
in
that
an
motion was to me.
executive
I mean,
I gave the opportunity for an executive session.
That would be a special meeting. Is probably the way to handle that, was a special meeting and a,
I gave
3
the
to 5
opportunity
days.
to have this, for all intents and purposes, to have it in the executive, session. However, the attorney advised that we were not to have it in an executive session. That would be considered illegal. So here we are.
But you don't,
Okay.
So,
I mean, your concerns are valid. My concern with the timing is the transition of the new administrator, and trying to be as effective as.
I mean, I've allowed this for, and I understand, and I hear you out. However, we've dealt with it all, I mean, again, this is just going back to something so simple as emails, right? A year, 5 emails. And then we just got word that these emails have been created. So why are we withholding it?
We've got 4 interviews on Friday with candidates that are highly qualified and wanting the job. So I feel fairly.
I feel-
that we're gonna be able to find somebody.
Right, and at this point, I think that it's no different. Nothing's getting accomplished in a timely manner in a year. We're not getting here on time.
JT, this is,
all right.
look,
We need to-
I have.
I mean, there is a motion on the table. I'm
There's a
not sure
motion
what
on the
that, I'm
table.
not, it was
Okay,
not,
to
if you
clarify-
want me to vote on that motion, I mean, you're not gonna get very far.
Okay, so
Because
let me
it's not
vote on the
clear
motion.
enough.
Okay, so then let me get a calendar.
So
We-
I'm asking for clarification.
Okay, so then, for clarification, I would like the council to move forward, or I'd like to make a motion moving forward with the removal of that position as soon as possible, and I gotta clarify a date, I guess, so that the next soonest time that we can meet. So, I don't know, let's say, what's on the 14th? 14th is Black Day.
Again, I'm hearing your personal issues, okay?
These are the council's
No,
concerns.
I get all that, but I'm also looking at it as the town as a whole will have a huge gap. in
Let's
new-
get through this process of him making a motion. That's,
That's true, we can always vote down.
we can code up or down, but the 13th at 7 PM, I'm available. It's Flag Day is the 14th, so it sounds like we don't wanna do that, right?
So,
That works for me.
okay,
13th,
What are you talking about?
13th, is 13th an open day?
7 PM.
June 13th?
June 13th, 7 PM. Which means I think the notice has to go out tomorrow. Early.
What's the motion?
So the motion is on June,
No, what is the motion?
Motion is to remove LeAnn
to
from.
remove
Okay.
LeAnn from, on June 13th, this Thursday, that position.
And we meet. to
And
vote.
we meet to vote for that.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
For a meeting. This Thursday.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, say again, all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays?
Nay.
Who were the ayes?
JT, Justin, and did you abstain, vote?
No, I will agree to a meeting.
Okay.
And it's, like we said, it's
So
gonna,
motion
it should be an
passes.
executive session, I believe.
I believe it is correct, I'll check first thing, and yeah, we'll check first thing. Make sure that I'll get it out to you immediately as soon as I find out the answer. Fair enough?
Yep.
Okay, do we have a motion to adjourn?
A motion we adjourn.
Second?
I second that motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned.